All right. I'm in New York City, in Manhattan, in Central Park. It's snowing, it's Christmas time, and I'm just not happy. This year has been so shitty. It's been so full of injustice and difficulty and corruption and fraud, whatever you want to say. Like, it just felt like society was on the brink. But, it's been a good couple weeks now, I think. I don't know. My views are up. Trump is coming out of office finally. The vaccine's rolling out. But I'm just not happy. I mean, literally all we had to do this year, we were inside the whole year. I was inside the whole year. People were inside. I mean, I went outside, but I didn't meet anyone new. I didn't do anything formative. And the only thing to do is spend money. Everyone, we're all us middle-class Americans, fucking rich Americans, poor Americans, we're just being advertised to all year. Because the one thing you can do when you're stuck inside is fucking shop online. You can buy shit you don't need. Everything I'm wearing, everything I have, every piece of gear, the camera I'm shooting this on, I bought this year. And I didn't really need any of this stuff. And I think in some ways, I bought it because I was bored. There's nothing else to do. And the Christmas music is on. It's still playing. I don't want to lie for Christmas, blah, blah, yada, buying gifts, wrapping presents, throwing shit away, doing too much, spending money. Like, it's just still going. And I'm just not feeling it. But there's one thing that I can always count on to feel during Christmas. Like, if I need to feel, if I want to be happy and I don't feel anything, I can always listen to the Charlie Brown Christmas album. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's not. Charlie Brown Christmas is the one album, it's the one movie that's not about Christmas. It's about emotions and depression and anxiety. And it's something that everyone feels and we all feel, but we don't talk about it. And this is the one piece of media and music that you can rely on to honestly talk about how overwhelming this season can be. And I can always turn it on and I can always relate to those group of pessimistic, annoyed, angry 6-year-olds who are tired of corporations and parents and people who just have their head in the clouds and don't stop to look around and think. And that's why I wanted to dedicate the Volksgeist Christmas special to the Charlie Brown Christmas album. It's something wholesome and pure, and it addresses human feelings like depression and anxiety that a lot of people feel around this time of year. And I'm not going to deny that it's happening. I'm not going to pretend everything's okay and be a happy YouTuber who just wants to sell more merch. I want to talk about the fact that this year was difficult and it was really fucking lonely. And I think the Charlie Brown album speaks to that in a really simple, honest way. So let's get into it.
I think there must be something wrong with me, Linus. Christmas is coming, but I'm not happy. I don't feel the way I'm supposed to feel. I just don't understand Christmas, I guess. I like getting presents and sending Christmas cards and decorating trees and all that, but I'm still not happy. I always end up feeling depressed.
Charlie Brown, you're the only person I know who can take a wonderful season like Christmas and turn it into a problem.
If you haven't seen the Charlie Brown Christmas special before, I highly recommend giving it a watch. Even though it's more than 50 years old, made by and for boomers, its message and morals apply more today than they ever did in the past, and I think everyone, especially people my age, could learn a lesson from it. In the words of everyone's favorite outlet, Pitchfork, the Charlie Brown Christmas special's melancholic musings offer a far more realistic musical reflection on the mixed emotions the holiday season can bring. Following the Christmas adventures of a group of prematurely existential 6-year-olds, the Charlie Brown Christmas special deals with the overwhelming realities of depression, anxiety, consumerism, and real estate. Ironically sponsored by Coca-Cola, the team behind the special had only 6 months to complete the whole show on a shoestring budget of $96,000. Upon completion, they were faced with extreme disappointment from network executives who thought it was too sluggish, amateurish, and it didn't capture the right themes. There was also concern about the inclusion of religious themes, given that the networks would have preferred a more Americanized interpretation of Christmas, focused on gift-giving and celebration. In the words of the soundtrack's drummer Jerry Granelli, they wanted...
We don't want a little kid telling us what Christmas is, and it's jazz music, and you don't have jazz. 64, you don't have jazz music on television. But the proof of it is nobody messes with Coca-Cola, because Coca-Cola said, we paid for the time and it's going on.
And so the plan was to air the special once and then let it go. But on December 9th, 1965, the Charlie Brown Christmas special became the highest rated Christmas special of all time. Today, it remains as a permanent part of the holiday season, a timeless story that follows Charlie Brown's wistful, gloomy experience while he tries to find meaning in the consumerist American Christmas season. It channels the looming sadness and solitude that comes with the holidays in a way that no other piece of media really can. And Vince Guaraldi's soundtrack is an essential part of that. As opposed to the big band TV soundtracks of the time, his music was refined, modern, and clever. When juxtaposed with the animation, it gives the special an eerie, surreal atmosphere, and the special wouldn't have felt nearly as meaningful without it. I think the most impactful part of Vince Guaraldi's score is how it gives you space to think and reflect. If they had gone with the traditional big band score, it would have ended up distracting and overwhelming, not reflecting the overall mood of the special's somber, thoughtful writing. And that's why Guaraldi's compositions ended up being so perfect, often described as almost eerie or haunting. It accompanies the early sunsets, quiet snowfall, and lonely children better than any other music would have been able to. The album was put together almost as haphazardly as the special itself. Recorded in just 3 days of sessions, as was typical for jazz at the time, the Guaraldi Trio often worked late nights at jazz clubs after they finished at the studio for the evening. After deciding to add a proper song to the album, producer Lee Mendelson had trouble finding lyricists and ended up writing the words to Christmas Time Is Here on the backside of an envelope in 15 minutes, just before the lyrics had to be submitted. And there's another funny story about the recordings too. The children's choir that sings on Hark the Herald Angels Sing and Christmas Time Is Here recorded with the Guaraldi Trio until late at night and were often rewarded with ice cream for their time. But angry parents would forbid their kids from returning to the studio, and as a result there were always new children present at each session. Guaraldi and Mendelson wanted the recordings to sound imperfect, and so the final version of Hark the Herald Angels Sing is sung slightly off-key and overdubbed with many different tracks from different recording sessions. Musically, Vince Guaraldi understood that he had to appeal to both adults and children. His music for the special had to be both sophisticated yet accessible, intelligent and simple, and he pulled this off masterfully. The key to the appeal of the jazz in A Charlie Brown Christmas was Guaraldi's recognizable style. He doesn't flex his skills in any way. In fact, he doesn't come off as the most technically proficient musician at all, with this being cemented by how popular his pieces remain with amateur pianists to this day. So instead of technical skill or wildly experimental composition, the most admirable aspect of Guaraldi's work for the Charlie Brown Christmas special is how he built on classic standards with recognizable harmonies and comforting jazz flourishes. It is technically proficient, yet its primary aim is to be recognizable and relaxing. Described by the jazz author Doug Ramsey, Vince was a very positive player. I don't know if that can be analyzed. The rhythmic component is obviously part of it, and the fact that he created melodies that tended to be sunny, not neutral or morose. But also you can hear a musician's personality and attitude when they're playing, and anybody who hears most of Vince's music will sense a positive quality. He was a good, solid musician. Anybody who listens to his music 50 years from now will appreciate it for the same things we appreciate it for today. Another important piece of the soundtrack is the production, specifically mixing and recording techniques. There's a human element to the way they recorded and mixed the album. Sometimes it sounds almost warbly as sound bounces off the recording studio walls. Listening to the album alone, it takes on a life of its own, independent of the Charlie Brown scenes. You can begin to hear each instrument with equal clarity. The mixes are warm, while moments of silence keep a relaxed atmosphere. And there you have it, the best, most pure, honest Christmas album of all time, and one of the best-selling too. A Charlie Brown Christmas blends jazz, classical, and traditional sounds together in a way that beautifully separates it from its source material, unintentionally making a legacy all its own. The music that accompanies a Charlie Brown Christmas sounds a lot like a first snowfall. The gently brushed drums, melancholy, fuzzy piano. It's amazing how Vince Guaraldi was able to use piano, bass, and drums to capture complex emotions without words. It's always been hard for me to believe the images of happy families and children on television or in ads. Actually, scratch that. I think it's full of shit. And I think I'm not alone when I say that. Childhood was sometimes painful for me. I often felt alone. I went through a lot of ups and downs with family. There was hardship in many different areas. But that's a natural, normal thing. And I wish more media could reflect that reality, but sadly it's hard to sell stuff through that lens, because it's too real. And that's why this album means so much to me. It addresses reality. It addresses fear, depression, anxiety. From the perspective of kids, too. It's not a common thing to do that in mainstream media. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say I relate to the Charlie Brown Christmas because I was that scared kid. In some ways, I still am, and always will be. Okay, I got some notes on my phone here, so I might put some footage in this. The dreaded specter of consumerism. I'm just gonna read this. So, it feels like advertising and corporatism just gets worse every year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just growing up, but to me, from my perspective, I just feel more bothered by it all the time. Like targeted algorithmic advertising, social media, self-centered plastic internet makeup, Gymshark, TikTok, narcissists. But if there's one thing we can learn about history, it's that like I'm wrong. It's that I'm wrong. We can tell that by the fact that the Charlie Brown Christmas special was locked into the same materialistic shopping frenzy that we are today. You know, I get 5 emails a day from B&H telling me we're doing free shipping today for Christmas. You do free shipping every fucking day, you assholes. You're just emailing me 5 times today because you think I'm gonna be like, oh my God, free shipping. Like, I can get that piece of junk I don't need, but it was the same thing in the past. Charlie Brown was originally attached to Coca-Cola. The entire special was an ad for Coke. In the show we have today, Linus crashes into thin air, and in the original special, he crashes into a giant Coke bottle. And at the end of the special that aired in 1965, all the kids get together and they say, thank you, this was brought to you by Coke. And I guess what I'm trying to say is like, it's been so long since the true meaning of Christmas really was a consideration for the average American. You're looking so far back to find the true meaning of Christmas that at that point, everyone was a fucking racist anyway, dude. Companies and agencies fabricate the idea that Christmas should look a certain way. It should include this and that product. They want us to tie our happiness to buying their stuff, their candles, trees, lights, televisions, phones, clothes, whatever you name it. They're gonna try to tell you that if you buy it, Christmas will be better. But I kind of get it. I kind of get it, dude. I like Christmas trees. I like trees. I like trees come up out of the ground. You get one for $40. It's cool. You put lights on it. I don't know, whatever the fuck. It's a Christmas tree. It's fun, but I'm not sure about the rest of that shit. I don't want red and green matching flannel pajamas and bed sheets with little wreaths on them and high-interest credit card companies getting to dictate how I spend my money. But the ubiquitous nature of advertising for these things is families can feel pressured to participate because their kids get sucked into the ads and the parents want to make the kids happy and they're stressed and tired and they're going to do it at any cost, you know? I get why you can end up feeling lonely or unliked or isolated during a time like this. It's easy if you don't want to participate in this buying frenzy, this buying craze. It's easy to feel that way. But I think Christmas is still cool. I'm not calling off Christmas. I think especially this Christmas should be an important one because the historical context of what Christmas is kind of beautiful. It's kind of special, and I can appreciate it. Okay, so I think we should talk about the historical context of Christmas a little bit. It seems clear, I think a lot of Christians agree, that Jesus wasn't really born on December 25th. He was born another date, but December 25th was an already existing pagan holiday for a lot of cultures in the region of Christianity's birth. So they choose that day as now being like a double holiday. Because December 25th it's not a special day, but is in a way, it's symbolic of winter, right? Like, winter is cold, it's freezing, there's no food, there's no animals, there's no vegetables growing. And for a lot of early cultures, that's terrifying, right? Like, you haven't mastered timekeeping, you don't have a calendar to tell you, hey, in 2 months, everything's gonna be okay. It's not a good situation. It's dark, it's gray, cloudy, rainy, snowy. But as history progresses and you can kind of now get a hold on this, and you have enough technology to keep track of time in a way where you can say, hey, it's December 25th. It's bad, but it'll be better soon. And you get kind of used to that. It's a tough part of the year, but you have something to look forward to. And it's spring and summer and everything coming back again. So December 25th becomes this feast day. In many ways, that ancient winter feast that celebrated the coming end to a difficult period speaks to our present moment too. It's a tough year. It's been a tough, terrible year. Hundreds of thousands of people have died from a pandemic that our government doesn't want to do anything about. People are becoming homeless. They're losing their jobs permanently. There are people who don't have enough food for their kids, people who don't have heat in their houses. Look, even if you're a normal college student, which you probably are if you're watching a Volksgeist video right now, even if you're just a random young person somewhere in the world, and your life sucks because you can't go out, you can't see your friends, and you can't travel, and that's not as bad as people whose livelihoods are genuinely being impacted by this, but I understand it sucks for you too, and it's unfortunate that you're in this position. And that's what I want to think about this Christmas, is the fact that, while it's been hard, it could have been harder, and eventually it's going to end. It's not going to be hard forever. Just like the original meaning of Christmas, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago, it's been hard, but it could have been harder. We're here, we can celebrate, we can appreciate what we have. And for me, the fact that I'm here, I'm alive, that's enough for me. I hope you learned something about the Charlie Brown music while you watch this video. I hope you learned something about Christmas. I hope you feel a little calmer, a little more relaxed. Enjoy tomorrow. And thanks for watching this year. It's been a crazy year. And for me, Volksgeist has meant a lot, that I can come here and express myself and people will care and maybe get something out of it. So next year is going to be twice as interesting. So I hope you stick around.